On February 26th, an unarmed young teen was walking home and was accosted by an armed adult. This chance meeting left this young teen, this African American man, dead in the street. Those are the facts. You can speculate all you want about everything else, but the fact of the matter is, Trayvon Martin is dead. And there is a man who killed him who is walking around free. Now, many people want to allege racism. They want to talk about what George Zimmerman should or should not have done. People want to march with a hoodie. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not wearing a hoodie. But I tell you what I am going to do. I want to look beyond what the young man was wearing. My question to a lot of people is, if the young man would have had his pants pulled down around his butt, would we be wearing our pants around our butt to show solidarity and a tribute? I think not. What we need to do is look beyond the simple signs, the symbols, and get to the root cause of the problem. Because here's what I know. On that day, according to the 911 calls, someone asked George Zimmerman when he called in to report the race of the young man. How was this relevant? How was the race of the young man relevant when a 911 call was received? Had he been an African American, what was the difference? If he were Caucasian, if he were an Asian American, a Latino, would the answer have been different? Would they have said, oh, follow him because he's Latino? I don't think so. But what about the system that allows a 911 operator, an emergency response operator, to ask a question like that? Someone calls in an emergency call and the first question you ask is the race of the person? People want to talk about George Zimmerman, but the truth of the matter is, even if you lock up George Zimmerman, the systemic racism that exists will allow people like George Zimmerman to continue walking the streets. And in a place like Florida, where they can walk the streets, where they can gun someone down and then allege self-defense and stay free, that's the problem. It doesn't really matter what occupation his father or his mother has. What really matters is there is a law in Florida and 30 other states that allows people to systematically, without cause or prejudice, take someone's life and then blame it on self-defense. Don't you remember back in the day when you used to watch cowboy pictures and you had that one cowboy that would go gunning for someone and they would gun him down in the middle of the street and everybody else was standing around afraid to testify against the guy? And what would he say? He would turn to the sheriff, smile at him with his tobacco-stained teeth, and he would say, "Sheriff, it was self-defense." Well, that's exactly the Wild Wild West that we live in Florida and in those 30 other states. So what of it? You can march all day long in a hoodie. You can stand out and protest all day long. But the fact of the matter is, we've got to get to the real problem. We've got to get laws like that that allow people to take someone else's life without even being arrested and necessarily even tried. Arrest the man. Try him in a court of his peers. And if his peers find that he's not guilty, when all of the evidence has been weighed equally and without bias, then it is what it is. But really not to arrest him at all? Therein lies the problem. And what about the fact that in America, you have the haves and the have-nots, and the haves can afford the lawyers that know about the castle doctrine. But the have-nots get a public defender who in most cases is overburdened, has too many cases, and is not well paid, and certainly not at the level of the private attorneys. They don't find loopholes like the castle doctrine. So once again, the haves have, the have-nots suffer. Let's get beyond wearing a hoodie. Let's get beyond accusing one man of racism. Let's look at the system. It is the system that is flawed, not the man. Yeah, George Zimmerman may or may not. Who knows what his inclinations are? But here's what I know. I know that when a 911 call comes in and someone stands there and is asked about the race of the individual, that is irrelevant. What I know is the castle doctrine needs to be repealed. In 30 states where they have it, why do they have it? Why do they need it? That's the Wild Wild West. If you murder someone, no matter the reason, you need to be arrested. You need to be tried. Let the jury and the legal system make a determination based on the facts of the case, whether or not you're guilty. Loopholes only allow people with means to go free. African Americans, Latinos, poor Caucasians, we don't walk free. We stand in jail cells, oftentimes for much less than people who have committed heinous crimes have done. Let's get beyond the hoodies. Let's get beyond the easy, simple things. Let's tackle the real issue here. Let's not deal with the symptom. Let's deal with the root. And the root is racism.